Greetings fellow mayors, this is Captain Obvious and welcome back to the Masterclass series in Coastal Flatland City. In this episode, I will share 5 main tips to reduce traffic in your city. We are also going to develop our farming industries and we are going to start making use of our elevated road. We are currently at 16,000 population and our traffic flow has dropped down to 81%. So now it's important to check the reason why it's happening and to try to resolve it immediately, otherwise it's just going to continue to drop. All right, so the heavy thing that we need to look is the red area. So we see a lot of traffic here, so it goes on here, there, and of course here. So let's check out what's happening on this end. So this is one of the cause of the traffic. This is our tram depot and there is like a small road or just a tiny gap and it's causing all the hiccups. So let's first try to remove this and let's see if it's going to resolve that traffic. So I'm just going to relocate it on this end just to see if it will remedy the problem. Let's make sure it's powered. Okay, and then I'm going to fast forward and then we're gonna see. So, and already you can see it's making a huge difference. So from 80 to 85, all right, it's going down. 86. I'm going to go ahead and explain a few things while we're waiting for this to resolve. So offline, I made a few changes, especially on this middle part. So this used to be high density over here, right here. These used to be tall buildings, but since they were tall buildings, it kind of removed my my design that I wanted to do. So for example, if you're coming from here, I wanted to see this where you're passing through and then you see the pedestrian bridges. You know, when the buildings are tall, you can't see that clearly, and then you're going in and this is the kind of scene that I want to see. And then you have these palm trees. So I made an example of how it looked like by keeping these guys tall. So now if we look here for passing here, right, so the buildings are tall and it, you know, this thing just kind of gets lost. Like suddenly there's a bridge and then you go past through. So from this end you see it a lot better, but if you came from the other side, you're gonna have the same kind of notion where suddenly there's this bridge with I don't know what you call that. Okay, let's go ahead and check what happened with our traffic flow. So let's see. Okay, we're at 85. There are still ways to fix this. So another thing that you can do is to replace the roads and make them 4-way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to replace these ones. These here are already set. I can't change it. So I'm going to try to reduce the traffic from this end. So we're going to use 4-way roads here and also along this end. Okay, so we've upgraded our roads. Let's check our percentage. It's at 84%, so it did not do as well. Another traffic I see is going on this end, but majority of it are vehicles wanting to enter this area and it's causing all the hiccups. Well, it went up to 87, 88. Another trick that you can do in order to reduce traffic is to convert roads into either one way or into pedestrian street. So I'm going to convert this into a pedestrian street and we're going to have them turn in this direction instead. So I'm looking for the just the cobblestone. Let me check where our stops are. So our tram stops are over here. So I guess we'll make this a proper way to turn, but not here because this one is a little too close. So let's go ahead and go back and replace that road. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle the zoning and make it empty in the middle. I don't want anything to be zonable on the inner side. Okay, so now everyone is going to be forced to go this way. So what that does is it gives more time for vehicles to pass in order to enter this area. So we're gonna have to wait a while and see what happens. But a major reason why the traffic is here is because of our industrial area. So this is actually temporary and we need to relocate it, and now is a better time than any than to start migrating our generic industries, and I plan to place them on this end. So if you look at our resources, so the next phase of your city when you're building it is you need to continue generating economy. So right now we are earning 21,000, and majority of our income is coming from our residential area. It's 35. So we do have parks. We do have park income, but that dwarfs our residential income. So this one is just like a starter to help, but majority of it comes from there. All right, so let's go ahead and extend our roads and start creating our network and industrial area. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock this and add in our pipes. Okay, our pipes are in. So while I was adding pipes, let's check our traffic flow. So it went up to 90%. Look at that. All I did was upgrade roads here, and I made only this side 4 lanes because this is where our industrial area are, and we kind of moved the direction or flow for them to enter this instead of just turning here immediately. So it kind of bottlenecked there. But when we remove this, it will definitely improve even more. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to extend the road, and we are finally going to create a way for this to move down so that you can enter this elevated highway. So let's not forget to toggle our zoning back in. So when extending this bridges, it takes about 12 units for it to have the maximum extension. So here's 13, here's 12. So as you can see, there's like the maximum space before a new pillar is created. So I try to count up to 12. So this is 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to continue that all throughout, so I don't just stretch it. Okay, so this is the way for it to go down, and here is going to be an extension where it's going to extend and kind of cater what is going to be there. I want to create a roundabout here, and the way to create a roundabout in an area that's already built, you just have to create it from the bottom. So this is what I'm going to do. All right, so what I'm looking at is this. So you can see there are 4 units here. So I'm gonna make sure there are 4 units on each side. So it's around here, and that is like our perfect square right in the middle. And with that, we can create our guide to creating a roundabout. So from here, let's extend it. So around 200 units. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. Okay, I'm just gonna reconnect that together and then create the road at the bottom again. And we are simply going to use the curve tool to connect them. Okay, I may have to delete it. You know, come to think of it, I think this should have been bigger. All right, so I'm going to extend it a little further using the same principle. It seemed like it misaligned. Okay, I need to redo this. Okay, there you go. We have our roundabout in the middle. I could delete this, but I'm gonna keep it for now, and I'm just gonna continue like building towards this area. So we have our theme here, like along our elevated road. So we have this design on each side, and I'm gonna continue that here as it connects to this main road. Oh, this is an issue. We can't have this. Yeah, it's going to be a safer call to just remove it completely. So I am just going to create a road going underneath, and we're just gonna chop this off, and this is going to be a new area, and we can place our tram depot. Oh, it might not be a bad idea to place the tram depot here. Oh, there you go. Now it has a purpose. A pumping service right here, because we're near the water, so we may flood in the future. So it's a good idea to have services nearby. Okay, any other service that we can place down is a garbage facility, and I'm gonna go for this one, the eco-friendly incinerator plant. So I'm going to place it here, but we could also decorate this by adding more parking lots. Okay, so she fits nicely. So we have our little service area here. I am going to go ahead and prepare our industrial area because that is the current demand for the city. Let's go ahead and check our traffic flow. Yeah, so it's holding pretty well at 90 plus, so it fluctuates every now and then. But once we remove this, so this is why I want to kind of make it now so that we won't have that issue any further. So let's go ahead and create our way for the vehicles to kind of get down from our elevated path. So here's 12. Okay, so we have two ways to get down. One is in this direction and the other is there. Okay, so we have a tiny roundabout there. I'm not going to make use of that for now, but I just wanted to place it. Then the direction of this is going to be very important, and I want to divide it. I want to place our forestry on the top and our farming on the bottom. The reason why I want the forestry on the top is because we have these logs here, and so we're gonna make it appear like it was chopped down due to the forestry. So that's why I need to divide it. So I'm going to make this go downward. Doesn't even have to go straight. Okay, that is good for now. Let's make sure that the terrain is pretty even. Alright, and let's go ahead and create our first industrial area. So I am going to make this into our farming. So I'm just going to zone there, and we're going to be using dirt roads. And because we established this first, we can totally afford to build anything. We have all the money. We could even create all 4 industries immediately if we wanted to. So here you can use curved roads, and the only time you want to use the straights is when you plan to place in building. So for example, of course, we first need our farm building. I am going to place it here, our level 1 to unlock or to plant down, and let's go ahead and place down a few. And of course, we need electricity for everything here to run. So let me go ahead and add in our power line. So if you're not familiar on how industries work, so first you have to extract the resource, and then it goes into a processing building. In this case, these small animal pastures. So they extract and then they place it here, and then it produces or outputs as a product. So right now, in order for this to generate faster, we just need to create more. So I'm just going to randomly create other areas. And right now it's saying that it doesn't have the resource. That's because we didn't create enough of these. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a few more. Okay, so it appears to be working. So for now, we're not going to concern ourselves too much on the design, but it is important to scatter it around, and then we're going to spruce it up even further and connect them together, which is the important thing. So basically, we just need to wait until we get the required resource. So that's the produce resource right here. So we need 500, and to generate this faster is you just need more processing buildings. So I just need to create more of this, but we have more than enough, and we simply just need to wait for this to reach 500. Okay, now we are level 2, so we have more buildings available, and we have the bakery, which is the unique building. So I am going to immediately place this down, and there are also new buildings available. So we have a flour mill, and I'm going to go ahead and plop these guys down. We need to connect them by power. Our traffic flow, look at that, it's still 92%. So with our small patches of areas, we can go ahead and try to add more structures. So for example, we have a farmers workers barracks, so I'm gonna place it down. Try to place them so if they have trees, put them together so they would look like they blend in. So as we place down more industry, our demand is going to start to drop. And when it goes down to 0, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly dezone in order to create more demands. All right, and now we are level 3. It opens up another unique factory, but this unique factory, it will need glass, and glass is produced from ore. So for now, I am just going to ignore it, and we're just gonna continue building this out. So we have new buildings, which are the medium crop field, so we're not using this small one. And we also have a milking parlor, so just try to scatter them together. And our industrial demand is dropping, so let's go ahead and start dezoning slowly yet surely. So I'm gonna dezone by probably 2 blocks at a time. So we will have to start emptying all these garbage facilities. You could use disasters such as an earthquake and just force an earthquake there so you can empty it out, but it doesn't matter because it takes time for the pollution for these things to also dissipate. So I'm just going to let it, yeah, see, look at all that pollution. I'm gonna let this empty out normally. So just to be clear, our objective is for our farming industry to level up on its maximum, which it will be level 5. And to do that, we are simply just waiting to get enough produced resources to reach the next level. And while we're waiting, we are developing the rest of the city. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and kind of make more ways to get on and off our elevated road. And I am going to unlock this tile to do so, because I really want to remove all the pollution here, and we need to transfer some of our facilities. So let's go ahead and create new paths. So I am going to create our power and all our other necessities on this side of the map, which is not too far away from our main city. So with that said, I'm going to create our road path, and we're just gonna go over the highway and then continue there on. And I also want a way for vehicles to get off into this direction. So I'm going to create a declining road. So this will eventually move down as soon as this empties. And we are now level 4, which opens up new facilities for our farming. So let's go ahead and add a few. And let's also check how quickly it is generating. Okay, so and this is a pretty big amount to gain. And the other goal that I have is to have 0 imports. So we're gonna have 0 imports by the end of this this farming industry. And to help to get to 0 imports, we're going to try to reach at least 50,000 on both production for flour and animal products. So for now, we're just going to continue and add more buildings to help it generate more produced resources as quickly as possible. Okay, we've created way too many farming industry buildings. So let's check, and it's really generating really quickly. So I'm going to continue and dezone these areas. So some of these are already empty, which is excellent. We can go ahead and delete these. So we use our time wisely. And I am going to go ahead and just dezone this. Just rip it off like a band-aid and just deal with the pain. And what will happen is it will decrease the residential demand and increase the industry demand. So with that, we still need to move our facilities. So I am going to quickly create our power, because that is probably going to be the first thing that shuts down. So let's go ahead and create that quickly before everything disconnects. Look at that, our residential demand totally flatlined. It's not intentional because we dezoned way too quickly, which is not recommended. But I do want to generate more industrial buildings, so that's why I did that. But for now, I am very concentrated on developing our power industry or power location. So I'm going to mix in a few items. So for example, I'm putting these geothermal power plants with the solar updraft tower. So this is way too much power, but I'm just going to turn some of them off, and let's make sure that this connects to the city, otherwise people will abandon. So I slow down the time at 1 time speed, and let's make sure there are also pipes. Okay, I want to make sure that everything is still powered. Okay, everything seems to be running smoothly. So I can return to ×3 speed. So as I keep it at ×3, the pollution should start reducing. And with that said, I really need to relocate our sewage facility. So I'm going to create them right here. All right, so now we can afford to delete them, and this should dissipate in time. It'll definitely dissipate, and we can finally mirror this into that area. So we're gonna have our complete first tile. Okay, so with that said, I'm just gonna leave this alone. Let's check our facilities. Okay, power, we have more than enough power. Let's try to turn some off because we lost some money. Wow, electricity is still even too high. Okay, there you go. Oh, so might as well, while we're waiting, right? We want to create ways to get down, so I will do that instead. And we've reached level 5. All right. Okay, so now we could finalize our farming because we're using our elevated roads now. It's really nice when they start utilizing our elevated roads. It's really neat. Okay, so we are level 5, and let's go ahead and finalize our farming and try to utilize all the other assets. So I've made spaces because I know that they are relatively large. For instance, this. Okay, so we have 80 tons, which is way more than enough for animal products. We have almost 50, or yeah, it does exceed 50. And then our imports, I saw a flicker of import, and in order to make that to completely zero, you simply just need to add more extractors, and that should help reduce the number of imports. Because if you have the products necessary, then they should not it should not require to import. Okay, let's check our current status of our farming industry. So I saw it tick up to 22,000, and we currently have 0 imports. We have 66 tons for flour, 90 tons for animal products, and the next thing that we just simply need to do is fill in the gaps to make it look a little more realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and do that by extending our farms by planting more, or by planting trees and making it appear that it is an extension of this. So for instance, Okay, let's zoom out. Not bad. Not bad for a farming industrial area. So I kept this space open because we need to make sure that we have enough road to in order to occupy this area. You gotta make sure you have a road to pass there. So I created that. So this is a we could further detail this by adding paths and like trying to mimic this. So for example, what I can do is I'm going to use the dirt paths, make sure everything is unlocked so it doesn't snap onto anything. So all you have to do is remove all, and then you can create your tiny things like this. Then in between you can plant, you can do that, and you can add it like throughout everywhere. So for example, I'm going to then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make these look appear larger by planting similar trees next to them. Okay, something like that, right? And then we could add them all throughout and it would look even more awesome. Wow, we did a lot in just our third episode, so we have excellent progress of the city. And I also did a few more things offline. I added a few fencing, some vegetation, plants, and rocks just to beautify the farming even further. And let's go ahead and check the status of our farming. So if we look at the stats, so we're at 0 import. I'm gonna times 3 speed to see if it flickers. Our profit flickers as well. So it was 5,000, now it's 15, which is excellent. If we look at our economy tab, our budget, or our earnings, we're still earning a lot from residential. Our farming spiked up to 41, which is now way more than our industry or residential, which is great. And our traffic flow is at 95%. So we started off at 80. So there, the traffic here is gone. And the final tip to reduce traffic in your city is to make sure that you don't have your generic industry in your city and make it go outside. It should be in the outskirts of your city, and to gain profit, of course, use industries DLC. So let's go ahead and check again. And we're still at 0 import, 26,000. And another traffic tip on how to manipulate traffic at certain areas. So for instance, here you can see trucks moving in and it's going into the neighborhood, which is not an ideal condition. Preferably you want them to take that route. So if we check our traffic flow, you can see that this is red, right? And if you want to reduce this or remove traffic here, well, what reduces the truck traffic, you go into policies and then you go to city planning, and then you can use the old town. I've tried the ban heavy traffic, but it's not as effective as using the old town. So now that it is selected, so this is the area of my district. So it will only affect this. So you need to carefully plot down your district. So I will keep this at times 3 speed, and we will see if trucks will continue to pass on this route. So now you can see the traffic is manipulated here, and we'll just wait a while. Our traffic is shifting. Okay, some time has passed and you can see that the trucks are no longer taking this route. They are now choosing to use our elevated roads. So this is one effective way to control traffic at a certain area. And the probably the most controversial technique to reduce traffic is to turn off the traffic lights completely. So for instance, here we have traffic lights that is causing all the hiccups. So if you want to turn off the traffic lights, let's check our current traffic flow first. So I do have traffic lights active. So you go into the info panel, then you click on traffic routes here, then the junction, and you can see that I have traffic lights throughout my city. So it is all active, and our traffic flow even with that is around 88 to 90. But if you really want to remove it completely, just again click on the traffic routes junction, and then click on this, click on the traffic lights, and it will turn off and all the vehicles will just run smoothly. So in effect, what will happen is your traffic flow will be smooth and stable at around 90. So right now it flickers, but it's still pretty good, right? But let's say you do not want to turn off traffic lights. What you can do is you can choose to make it a priority road. So go to the traffic routes, go to routes, and then click on priority road. And what will happen is the road will have stop signs, and then you can just manipulate this. So for instance, if I want this to be the main road, so I will turn off stops here and it will just go this way. So for this one, yeah, we can make this as a stop sign. So this is now the main road, and effectively you can do the same here. So I'll click on the road, so routes, priority road. If you go back to junction, and if we turn off the traffic light, it will turn off the lights, or it will create stops on the small roads, but you can still change that if you want to. So this will now be the priority road, and in effect your traffic flow will change, right? So now it's even higher. We're at 92, 91. So it really does help if you try to manipulate that. But if you're not comfortable, you can turn on the traffic lights, whatever your heart's desire on how you want to manage your city. So for instance, here we have a lot of traffic. So I can go here, convert this into a priority road. So if I turn that into priority road and then turn off the traffic lights, so you can see they are now moving relatively faster. But if you want this, here, see, it's not too bad, right? Traffic flow is at 90, right? That's not bad at all, right? And that is the many ways of how to reduce traffic in your city. Spoiler alert, the following episode will be how to fix not enough goods in your city. And we are also making use of our elevated roads for our industry to pass over the city, which helps reduce traffic. Eventually, I will create dedicated highways for the industrial area, but we've done more than enough for this episode, which I hope you, the viewers, can appreciate. There is a lot of information in this masterclass series in each episode with the ultimate goal of improving the gameplay of fellow mayors, and thus they will have a more delightful playing experience. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and please do hit that thumbs up to let others know that this was worth watching and may help other struggling mayors. I thank you for your continued support, and this is Captain Obvious. I appreciate your time spent here and for choosing to fly with Obvious Airlines. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next flight.